In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on October 29, 2022, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive betting picks to take your sports betting journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer anywhere from 1 betting pick a day up to 10 betting picks a day and much more. Now let's get started. Notre Dame versus Syracuse. College football action on Saturday afternoon, and we will see the Notre Dame Fighting Irish travel to the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, New York to grapple with the Syracuse Orange. The Fighting Irish have had their struggles overall, but they are off a 44-21 home win over UNLV last week to move to 4-3 on the year. The Orange enter off of their first loss of the year as they fell to Clemson on the road last week by a score of 27-21. These teams last met in 2020, and Notre Dame won that game by a score of 45-21. The Irish lead the all-time series 7-3. Notre Dame is 21-8-1 against the spread in their last 30 road games and 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 non-conference games, while the under is 5-2 in their last 7 games overall. Syracuse is 9-2 against the spread in their last 11 home games and 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 non-conference games, while the under is 4-0 in their last 4 games overall. Syracuse has been amazing at home this year as they have outscored their opponents 168-55. Number 16 Orange are coming off a close loss to number 5 Clemson last week. They look to get back on track against a pretty average Notre Dame squad. The Fighting Irish are playing in their 3rd road game of the season. They lost to Ohio State and beat North Carolina in their earlier road games. A 23-point win over UNLV last week helped them bounce back after an ugly home loss to Stanford. The lack of offense has been startling at times for Notre Dame. They average 386 yards per game, which ranks them 77th in the country. Syracuse is 10th in the country in pass defense, as the Orange's defensive units will lead the game all afternoon. I get the reasoning for backing Notre Dame and being tempted, as the Irish with the name brand recognition is always going to be there. However, the Irish have had a hard time moving the ball offensively, and say what you want about Syracuse, they're legit on both sides of the ball and gave a really good Clemson team all they could handle last week. The Orange are no longer a pushover in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Syracuse will keep Notre Dame out of the end zone all afternoon, so the Syracuse Orange to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Irish put up 44 points last week, but that was on a very weak UNLV defense. Notre Dame will not be facing a weak overall defense in this one, as the Orange are 6th in points allowed at 15 points per game. Syracuse was grounded into pulp last week against Clemson, allowing 293 yards rushing, and Notre Dame has averaged 223.5 yards per game on the ground in their last 4 games. I can see Notre Dame running the ball a ton in this one, and that will keep the clock moving. The Orange have been much better on the ground than through the air, and they will also run the ball more, which will keep them from having to throw the ball against a very good Notre Dame secondary. We also note that the Irish have allowed just 22 points per game on the year. The Fighting Irish are in the top half of all defensive categories, as they are allowing only 22 points per game. Syracuse is giving up 15 points per game, 13 points at home. The under is 5-2 in Fighting Irish's last 7 games overall. The under is 7-1 in Orange's last 8 home games. Notre Dame and Syracuse feature 2 very good defenses. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Georgia Tech versus Florida State. 2 teams are looking to pull themselves further up the standings in the Atlantic Coast Conference this week. The Florida State Seminoles are going to be hosting the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets on Saturday at Doak Campbell Stadium. Georgia Tech has won their past 2 of 3 games and is hoping to reach a .500 record, while FSU is looking to avoid a 4-game losing streak. The Florida State Seminoles look to end a 3-game losing skid on Saturday afternoon when they play host to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. During that streak, the Seminoles have lost by an average of just 6 points, while their their opponents in those games currently have a combined record of 19-3. Their defense still played decently in those contests, as they now rank 13th in the country in passing yards allowed per game and have surrendered just 23 points per contest on the year. This is a perfect opportunity for them to get back on track, coming off of a bye against a below-average and depleted Yellow Jacket squad. Georgia Tech lost last week to Virginia, and they also lost their starting quarterback in the process. Jeff Sims exited the game at the end of the first half, and Georgia Tech responded by amassing a dreadful 41 yards of total offense in half number 2. If Sims is unable to go in this one, it may be a long day for Georgia Tech. Even with Sims, the Yellow Jacket offense was nothing to write home about. Entering this matchup, they're averaging a measly 174.1 yards passing per game and have been held to 10 points or less in 4 of their 7 contests. Defensively, they're allowing 180 yards per game on the ground, which doesn't bode well for them here. Florida State rushes for over 204 yards per game and has 4 separate players with at least 40 rushing attempts, all averaging at least 4.6 yards per carry. The Seminoles carry a 7-3 record against the spread in their last 10 contests, whereas the Yellow Jackets have covered in just 3 of their last 9 conference games. It's a big number to lay, but Georgia Tech just doesn't match up well with Florida State. The Seminoles should cruise, so the Florida State Seminoles to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Again, this pick determines largely on Sims's availability for Georgia Tech, but Georgia Tech has hit the under in 8 of their last 9 matchups. The Yellow Jackets have also hit the under in the last 5 times they've played following and against the spread loss. The Seminoles are also hitting the under in their last 5 games in a row following and against the spread loss and have hit the under in 8 of their last 11 contests. Overall, I have zero confidence in Georgia Tech's ability and their backup quarterback to put up more than 10 points against Florida State in this one. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Rutgers versus Minnesota. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights battle the Minnesota Golden Gophers in a Big Ten showdown on Saturday evening. The Scarlet Knights beat Indiana last week. The Gophers' struggles continued in an ugly road defeat against Penn State in their previous action. Minnesota posted a 42-7 win against Rutgers in the previous meeting in 2019. Tanner Morgan will likely return from the concussion he suffered several weeks ago in this game, but the senior quarterback will also probably be limited in practice this week. Both these teams are struggling right now, but Rutgers' defense has been solid most of the season, even when the offense has been inconsistent. The Scarlet Knights held Indiana to 17 points and Nebraska to 13 points in the last 2 weeks, and the only game the defense struggled in this year was against Ohio State, one of the best defensive teams in the country. Schiano is known for defense, and his Rutgers team has been solid on that side of the ball again this year. The Scarlet Knights defense should be able to keep the game competitive against an inconsistent Minnesota team that has struggled on offense for several weeks. This should be a competitive game. The Knights posted a tepid 113 pass yards with 4.1 yards per play in their win over Indiana. That said, Rutgers did a good job at taking care of the ball and ended up with 38-53 in time of possession. That discipline will serve the team well in this matchup. As for Minnesota, they were simply outplayed by a better team in their last game. The Gophers were pretty inept on offense as well, notching just 2 of 3 on third down tries and 16 first downs total. They'll probably look better here, but I don't believe that the Gophers will cover in this one. So the Rutgers Scarlet Knights to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Scarlet Knights are involved in several low-scoring games due to the offense. They have scored 13 or fewer points in 3 out of their last 4 games, and Minnesota is one of the best defensive squads in the Big Ten. Rutgers' passing game ranks 118th in the FBS and EPA play, and they won't solve a Gophers pass defense that is holding opponents to 180 passing yards per game. In addition, the Golden Gophers' offense has cooled down, posting 17 or fewer points in 3 straight clashes. Plus, they will have long possessions with plenty of running. They only attempt a pass in 37% of their total offensive plays. The under is also 5-1 in the Scarlet Knights' last 6 October games. I expect a defensive battle. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.